The village of Umuse was a place of vibrant colors, loud festivals and age-old traditions. Children ran barefoot through red earth paths, women sang as they pounded yam in the mortar, and men told tales under the palm wine tree. But in the midst of this lively world was a girl who did not belong. Her name was Amara, and from the day she was born, people whispered about her. The midwife who delivered her claimed that when Amara first opened her eyes, they glowed faintly, like fireflies trapped in the dark. At first, her mother dismissed it as the imagination of an old woman. But soon the strange signs began. At 6 years old, Amara woke in the middle of the night, crying that water would swallow the farmlands. By dawn the heavens opened, and the river overran its banks, drowning yam mounds and cassava roots. When she was 10, she walked into the marketplace and whispered, "The chief will not see tomorrow." The next day the chief was found lifeless in his sleep. From then on she became the outcast. Women pulled their children away whenever she passed. Old men spat 3 times on the ground to ward off her evil eyes. Children mocked her with chants. Nwa Amosu, child of a witch. Her father, a proud farmer, tried to shield her, but even he could not protect her from the fear that gripped the community. Amara grew up in silence, her friends the wind and the rustling leaves of the forest. She would sit by the riverbank, dipping her feet into the cool waters, speaking to voices no one else could hear. Yet inside her chest burned a simple longing, not for power, not for revenge, but for love. She wanted someone to see her not as a curse, but as a girl with dreams, with laughter, with a heart that could love and be loved. But in Umuse, love was the one thing denied to her. That was until Obinna returned from the city. He was unlike the others, broad-shouldered, confident, his eyes warm and unafraid. When he saw her one evening carrying firewood from the forest, the world seemed to pause. Amara, dressed in a faded wrapper, her hair undone, avoided his gaze. But Obinna did not turn away. Instead, he watched her with quiet curiosity, his heart unsettled, as if destiny itself had whispered her name into his soul. The market square was alive with noise that evening. Drummers beat their talking drums, women bargained loudly over heaps of pepper and smoked fish, and the air was filled with the smell of roasted plantain. Amara stood at the edge of it all, clutching her basket tightly. She only came to buy salt and palm oil, but she could feel the stares. "Which girl?" one woman hissed under her breath as Amara passed. "She brings misfortune," another whispered, pulling her child close. Amara's shoulders sank. She moved quickly, her wrapper brushing the dust, her eyes fixed on the ground. She wished, for once, she could walk through the market and not feel the weight of rejection pressing down on her like a stone. But that night, fate was already weaving a new thread into her story. Obinna, newly returned from the city, stood in the marketplace, greeting old friends and elders. He had been gone for years, studying under a trader in Lagos, and now he had returned to take over his late father's farmland. Tall and broad-shouldered, his presence carried both the sharpness of the city and the rootedness of the village. And then he saw her. Amara. Her face was half hidden behind her basket, her eyes darting like a trapped bird. The market's noise seemed to fade as he watched her. Something about her pulled him in, something deeper than curiosity. Later that evening Obinna found her again by the riverbank. She sat alone, her feet in the water, humming a song only the spirits knew. Fireflies floated around her like tiny stars, and the moonlight painted her skin silver. "Why do you sit here alone?" His voice broke the silence. Startled, Amara turned sharply. She clutched her wrapper, ready to flee. "You should not come near me," she said, her voice low. "The others will say I have bewitched you." Obinna stepped closer, undeterred. "Let them talk. I do not fear words. I fear lies, and I do not see lies in your eyes." Her heart thudded in her chest. No one had ever spoken to her like this. No one had dared. "You do not understand," she whispered, her eyes glistening. "They call me a witch because I see things others cannot. I see shadows, I see what is coming. People fear me, even my own people." But Obinna only smiled. "Maybe you are not cursed, Amara. Maybe you are gifted. And maybe the spirits gave you these eyes for a reason the world is too blind to see." For the first time in her life, Amara felt something stir within her. Not the cold touch of fear, not the ache of loneliness, but the warm spark of hope. That night, under the gaze of the moon, a forbidden bond was born. From that night at the riverbank, a secret bond began to grow between Amara and Obinna. Days passed and Obinna found excuses to cross paths with her. When she went to fetch water at dawn, he was there, pretending to wash his face at the stream. When she walked into the forest for firewood, he would appear, carrying his cutlass, claiming to be hunting for snails. At first, Amara resisted. She knew the dangers. The villagers already despised her, and if they discovered Obinna's closeness to her, they would turn against him too. But Obinna was persistent, his heart unshaken. One evening, under the shade of the ancient Irako tree, they sat side by side, hidden from prying eyes. The breeze whispered through the leaves and the smell of wet earth filled the air. "You should not be here," Amara said softly, hugging her knees to her chest. "If they find out, they will call you bewitched too." Obinna leaned closer, his voice calm but firm. "Amara, I am not afraid of them. What is fear compared to truth? And the truth is, I feel something when I am with you. Something I have never felt in the city or here in the village." Her breath caught in her throat. No one had ever spoken words like that to her. Her heart pounded, torn between longing and dread. She closed her eyes and whispered, "I see things, Obinna, things I wish I could unsee. Shadows that cling to people, signs of sickness, betrayal, and death. Sometimes I see what is coming before it happens. Do you know what it is like to live with such a gift? It feels like a curse." Obinna reached for her hand. His touch was warm, steady. "Then let me carry part of that curse with you. You were not meant to bear it alone. If the world calls you a witch, let them. To me you are simply Amara, the girl whose eyes see deeper than all of us." Her eyes watered, but this time the tears were not of pain. They were of something new, something fragile and dangerous, hope. But as she held his hand, a sudden shiver ran through her. Her pupils darkened and her body stiffened. She saw a flash, Obinna's face twisted in pain, blood staining his chest. A knife. A shadowy figure standing over him. She gasped, pulling her hand away. "No. Obinna, your path is dangerous. I see betrayal ahead. A knife in the dark. Someone close to you will try to take your life." Obinna frowned but squeezed her hand again. "Then let them try. If I die, I will die knowing I loved without fear." Amara trembled. She wanted to push him away, to protect him from what her visions foretold. But her heart betrayed her, clinging to the one man who saw her not as a monster, but as a woman worthy of love. And so, under the great Irako tree, in the shadows of fear and fate, their forbidden love began to bloom. Love, when hidden, burns the brightest. For weeks, Amara and Obinna's secret meetings continued under the Irako tree, by the riverbank, and in the quiet corners of the forest. Their laughter echoed softly in the night, and their whispered promises wove a world where fear did not exist. But the village has no walls thick enough to keep secrets forever. Whispers began to spread. A hunter claimed he had seen Obinna walking with the witch girl at dusk. A woman selling palm oil swore she saw them by the river, their hands almost touching. Soon tongues wagged faster than the market drums. "Obinna has been bewitched," they said. "The witch girl has stolen his soul. If nothing is done, she will bring ruin upon us all." Among the loudest voices was Ikeen, a tall, broad young man who had long desired Amara in silence. Though he mocked her with others, deep inside he burned with a twisted love for her. Her rejection, even her mere indifference, was a wound to his pride. Seeing her smile at Obinna lit a fire of jealousy that consumed him. One moonless night, as Obinna walked back from the forest, Ikeen and two other men lay in wait. They stepped out, blocking his path. "Obinna," Ikeen sneered, his machete glinting faintly in the dark. "You think you are wise? You think you are man enough to take what belongs to the spirits? That girl is a curse, and by mingling with her, you are cursing yourself, and all of us." Obinna's jaw tightened. "Amara belongs to no one but herself. She is not a curse. She is a gift." His words only fueled Ikeen's rage. "A gift? Then let your gift save you." With a sudden lunge, Ikeen slashed forward. Obinna tried to dodge, but the blade grazed his side, tearing into flesh. He staggered, blood darkening his wrapper. The commotion drew villagers from their huts. In moments, a crowd gathered, torches lighting up the night. They gasped when they saw Obinna bleeding, Ikeen shouting accusations. "It is her!" Ikeen cried, pointing toward Amara, who had rushed from the shadows, eyes wide with terror. "The witch girl has bound him with her evil. She has offered him to the spirits. If she is truly innocent, let her heal him. Let her prove she is not what we say. The crowd turned on her, faces twisted with fear and hatred. Amara fell to her knees beside Obinna, her hands trembling. His breath came in shallow gasps, blood pooling beneath him. The villagers shouted, pressing closer, their voices like thunder. Save him, witch. Show us your powers. Or confess your evil. Tears streamed down Amara's face. She pressed her palms over his wound and whispered, her voice breaking. Spirits of the earth, spirits of the waters, ancestors who walk unseen, do not take him from me. Take my breath, my strength, my soul if you must, but spare his life. A hush fell. Slowly, impossibly, the bleeding slowed. Obinna's ragged breathing steadied, his chest rising and falling with new strength. Gasps of awe swept through the crowd. For a moment, silence hung heavy in the air. But then fear twisted their awe into horror. She is a witch, someone screamed. Only witches command the spirits, cried another. The villagers surged forward, some raising sticks, others stones. Obinna, weak but conscious, forced himself upright. He shielded Amara with his body, his voice hoarse but defiant. If she is a witch, then let me be bewitched forever. For her love is worth more than your fear. The crowd roared in fury. That night, both Amara and Obinna were dragged before the elders, accused, condemned, their love placed on trial before the entire village. By dawn, the elders of Yumuz gathered beneath the giant baobab tree, their staffs planted firmly in the earth. The villagers crowded around, their voices buzzing with anger, fear, and curiosity. Amara and Obinna were dragged forward, he limping, his side bandaged with a strip of cloth, she barefoot, her wrapper torn from the night's chaos. The eldest among them, his beard white as cowries, raised his hand for silence. Amara, daughter of Okeke, his voice boomed, you have brought fear upon this land since the day you were born. We have seen your eyes. We have seen your signs. Now you have bewitched the son of Udo and nearly brought death upon him. Tell us, what are you? Amara's voice shook, but she spoke with courage. I am not a witch. I did not choose these eyes, these visions. I only wish to live in peace, to love as any woman loves. If it is a curse, then it is mine to bear. But it harms no one unless your hatred makes it so. A murmur ran through the crowd. Some looked away ashamed, others spat in disgust. Obinna stepped forward, leaning heavily on his staff. His voice was raw but strong. If you condemn her, then condemn me also. For I will not leave her side. Her gift saved me. Her love gives me life. Without her, I am nothing. The elders exchanged heavy looks. The village was restless, divided. But fear always outweighs love in the hearts of the many. The verdict was delivered, banishment. They were to leave Yumuz before sunset, never to return. As the fiery sun dipped low, Amara and Obinna walked hand in hand toward the thick forest beyond the village. Behind them, children threw pebbles and women muttered curses. Yet, amidst the shame and rejection, their bond only grew stronger. When they finally reached the quiet of the forest, Obinna sank onto a fallen log, his wounds still aching. Amara knelt before him, washing the cut with water from a calabash. Her touch was gentle, her eyes filled with sorrow. This is my fault, she whispered. If you had never looked at me, if you had never spoken to me by the river that night, none of this would have happened. Obinna caught her chin, lifting her gaze to his. Do not say that. This is a curse, then I welcome it. If this is exile, then I embrace it. Amara. I would rather walk the darkest forest with you, than sit on the highest throne without you. Her heart swelled, her tears falling silently. She had been called a witch, a curse, a danger. But in his eyes, she was simply a woman worth loving. That night, under the stars, they built a small fire and huddled close, the forest alive with the calls of crickets and owls. The unknown stretched before them, hunger, danger, wild spirits that roamed the woods. But for the first time in Amara's life, she did not feel alone. The world had cast them out, but in that rejection, they had found something stronger than fear. They had found each other.